Hey everybody, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here. Don't forget to subscribe. But today, I actually want to talk about my profession, the cybersecurity profession. And it is, quite frankly, a really stressful job. Now, if you're watching this or listening to this, odds are you're probably in cybersecurity or you at least have a feigning interest in it. Maybe you want to get into this career. And it's tough. I'm not going to lie. And I basically wrote an article back in December of 2022, 2 years ago, that essentially talked about the burnout that cybersecurity is facing. But there's a recent article that I read today on basically in Tech HQ by Joe Green talking about exactly this, because essentially a cybersecurity reseller essentially basically put out a survey showing that the feelings among cybersecurity professionals basically are ones of despair. We have negative thoughts and work-related stress. It's carrying over into our personal home lives, et cetera, et cetera. We also have, other issues. I joke like, okay, like all my videos should be open bar kind of thing, but quite frankly, we've got those problems too. And although the surveys, basically the commissioning company, Green Raven, their motives were in part a sales pitch, there are serious elements in their surveys that honestly deserve attention, and again, I think the article does a good job of putting that out. So we're going to strip the sales stuff out here and we're just going to focus on the concerns, because most cybersecurity professionals' mental health is affected by work. And the chosen demographic that basically received the questionnaire essentially was comprised of cybersecurity management and team leaders. These are people, obviously, that have responsibility if an organization's data gets ransomed, exfiltrated, breached, misappropriated, whatever it is. Now, the buck doesn't necessarily stop there, but there's definitely skin in the game when you're talking about leadership, as it's your job to put in the policies, the procedures, and the technical, physical, and administrative controls that help prevent essentially those things. And so the survey's findings say that almost 75% of team managers would take a serious incident as a personal failure. Now, that's very interesting, because when I've done my own homework, and again, I'm going to talk about an article, again, that I wrote for Forbes a couple years ago, some of the things that we're also seeing is some are taking less responsibility as well, and for various reasons that we're about to talk about. Now, according to this research, 70% of respondents felt quote-unquote negative emotions due to the increase in cyber losses that are being seen in the wild. 59% feel a quote-unquote sense of inevitability to their organization's security failure, which essentially is a fairly healthy mindset. And I think that's true. A lot of us are simply waiting for the next inevitable breach for us to be basically vigilant on, but it's going to happen. That's what many think of. And nearly 70% say that they are under extreme pressure from senior management to demonstrate the need for cybersecurity budget demands for the coming year. But over half are not getting the budget they feel they need, despite 90% of organizations reporting that they are seeing a cybersecurity budget increases. As a cybersecurity consultant myself, working with various CISOs, CIOs, IT directors, leadership, et cetera, this is very true. And I think part of this is because most of our field does not speak nerd to English, meaning we don't speak business management. A lot of us, especially the CISOs, come from deeply technical backgrounds. And by virtue of that, oftentimes it's hard to sell that vision as it aligns with the CEO's vision, and the CFO doesn't want to fund it. Or IT and cybersecurity, which should be two separate departments, basically all get pigeonholed under the CFO, which is kind of worst case scenario, because then you're never getting the budget you absolutely want. And CFOs are notoriously stingy when it comes to cybersecurity. And I'm not saying all, but it's very few that I meet that are drinking the Kool-Aid. So all of this basically dovetails with this article that I wrote back in December of 2022, and I'd argue it's even worse now. Now, that article that I wrote was entitled Burnout and Staffing Shortages, Looming Cybersecurity Crisis That Needs More Attention. And basically what I talk about in there is a study at that time by Mimecast that indicated that roughly 1/3 of experienced cybersecurity professionals were seriously considering quitting in the next couple of years, meaning we are now coming to fruition from that December 2022 article and that Mimecast study. Now, burnout and stress are among the core reasons that were reported, but also the ever-increasing threat to organizations essentially are not allowing us to catch breaks or even breathers. Everybody's hacking everybody. It's 24/7, 365. And if you're thinking, well, that's why we have SIEMs, a security information event management systems with artificial intelligence. And we have SOARs for automated remediation, all these kinds of things. The AI only goes so far. we need basically experienced professionals. And if we're burning out, as fast as the colleges can start churning, basically experienced people, or not experienced people out, but people that can get into the field, they don't have that kind of experience. Also, we're understaffed. Also, in October of 2022, ISC2 published a report saying that essentially we were down about 3.4 million bodies worldwide. I've heard numbers, for the record, outside of ISC2 more recently that put that at a significantly higher deficit. On top of it, that is crazy, but especially when you consider another survey from Trellix that found that 85% of organizations mentioned that shortages in cybersecurity personnel were directly impacting their ability to properly secure and maintain their infrastructure, meaning we can't hire fast enough, and we can't hire qualified people fast enough. And we all know that if we get that person out of college that, can answer those questions on the test, that has that primer, that is obviously willing to get into this fight, but they don't have the actual experience. And so this is not an easy situation. And on top of it, we are basically coming into essentially a stressful world. Think about the backdrop of who you are as a cybersecurity professional. We've got a war in Ukraine. We've got a war going on in Israel. Syria is ramping up. We've had contentious elections. We're seeing shifting of governments. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different things that are happening. And this is a landscape where we are seeing more disinformation, more phishing, more cyber attacks coming from all over the world. The more we become interconnected, the easier it is essentially for the attackers to get to us. And so this is essentially a global problem that we have. And if cybersecurity is burning out, we're the shield for the engine of the economy. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. I don't care what profession you're in. You could be in healthcare or construction or finance or whatever. The global engine of the economy runs on technology. Without technology, we can't communicate, we can't collaborate, we can't transfer money, we can't pay bills, we can't receive money, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We can't talk to customers, customers can't talk to us, and on and on and on. The IT infrastructure of the world is basically what keeps the lights on. The cybersecurity is the shield for that engine of the economy. And if we are burning out, if we are no longer watching the board as an early warning detection system because we're just exhausted, that's a problem. And so here it is. I mean, I post something funny on social media every single day. Or at least I try to post something funny, at least what I think is funny, every single day. And it's in part because I know how tough this job is. And I know that the core audience of followers that I have are cybersecurity or cybersecurity related. And by virtue of that, we're all in this together. Cybersecurity, like other aspects of technology, but I think specifically cybersecurity, is probably one of the most collaborative fields you'll ever meet. I don't care if you're working for a competitor of mine. We're always sharing threat intelligence in some way, shape, or form because a rising tide really does raise all boats. But it's something that we really have to understand and underscore. And the backdrop of this whole thing, too, is that if basically a lot of people in my field need help, with their mental health, we're also short on psychologists. We're also short on mental health professionals at the moment, at least here in the United States. And so by virtue of that, you've got increasing demands, budgets not being met, staffing issues, everybody's hacking everybody left and right. We're not catching breaks. So yeah, I can see why my colleagues would want to go open up puppy daycare or something like that, because it's going to be a lot less stressful. We all have high blood pressure at this point, just as a result of the job. But those that are dedicated to it keep at it. I'm not going anywhere. And I think a lot of my colleagues, no matter how stressful the job is, aren't going anywhere either. And I think that's an important thing to understand and recognize as well. So with that, be kind to your cybersecurity people. Buy us a beer on occasion, and for the love of God, if you're a CFO, please give us the budget, because quite frankly, we're not sitting out here asking for Ferraris when we need a Ford, but we do need the Ford, so don't give us Yugo money. And that's all I've got to say, but good luck to us all. And if you're in cybersecurity, we're all in this fight together. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. Also now on Blue Sky. And as always, stay safe, stay online, and please, just please, attempt to stay private. And if you're in cybersecurity, be well. Take care.